mentioned during their time playing Ninjala. So, for this last list, this will be titled Common Problems Across the Board. Now, I want to reiterate, these are problems that have been found in both ranked and casual matches. Just because you yourself personally may not have witnessed one or two of these problems during your time playing doesn't mean no one else did. Okay, so we're just going to list them off, with some that will need a brief explanation if needed. Matchmaking with friends of different regions. Yeah, believe it or not, this was a major issue during Ninjala's debut. Simply put, if your party consisted of people from different countries or different time zones, your game would crash. Your party would get split, or you could never find a match. This plagued Ninjala for a very good while. Terrible servers. Yeah, Ninjala didn't really have the best servers. This led to the community infamous Opponent Not Found, or ONF. It's bad enough that the waiting room for Ninjala is a gamble by itself. The annoyingly frustrating part about this whole ONF business is that if you lagged out, you'd have to start the search to find a match all over again from the very beginning. These next few points were mostly highlighted during team battles. If and when you manage to get into a team battle match, some factors such as these can hurt the player experience. The power or skill gap between players. Sometimes this would result in steamroller matches. It becomes very one-sided all too often sometimes. And when this happens, this causes some people to DC, maybe because they didn't get their way one way or the other. Okay, forewarning, this next one may ruffle some feathers. Another popular topic that was widely discussed was droning. The droning problem only seemed to get worse over time. Now, if you're new to this game, let's kind of fill you in on what this whole droning thing is. Yes, drones are available in the match to help boost your team's points overall. But once people started to do nothing but hunt drones and avoid all combat altogether, this is where most teams relied on winning a match. And by midway through the match, it would be almost impossible to make a comeback. Once a team began to steamroll your team, while at the same time stealing all the drones around the map, there was almost no point in trying, as the point difference was way too vast. Not to mention any type of defensive play was pretty much non-existent. If you thought team battles alone was bad, what about all the solo players that ended up playing Battle Royale by themselves? Playing solo, even in team battles actually, made you more vulnerable to third partying. Not to mention, it's hard enough to find a lobby full of random players you have never met before. It's much less active than team battle. So, now, even after all this still couldn't become any more worse, could it? Well, consider this. It's bad enough that the weapons themselves were so unbalanced in more ways than one. Ninjala Gung Ho decided to go ahead and give us the Gum Lab. I think creating this video has actually driven me insane. Just a quick heads up, once again, if you're seeing all this for the first time, if you're a brand new player, we're about to literally discuss the Gum Lab. Using some of the terminology here, I tried to simplify it as best as I could. If there's any questions, by all means, feel free to chat down in the comment box, and we will do our best to straighten out any and all available info in regards to the Gum Lab. The Gum Lab, everyone's favorite pastime, yeah! The Gum Lab was an extra system, weapon tier area that added a lot more headaches than it needed, because it turned Ninjala, a free-to-play game, into a pay-to-win kind of game. How, you may ask? Well, using real money, you can buy a new currency that was introduced called research points. Now remember, Ninjala already had its own weapon system already available to the public, for free. The Gum Lab gave out, or rather added some extra modifiers here and there for a weapon of your choice. Not only that, but you could also obtain an alternate special weapon finisher through the Gum Lab. Now, once you obtained the modifiers you wanted to add to your favorite weapon or weapon class, it's yours. But these modifiers only applied to those who even bothered with the Gum Lab in the first place. If you didn't use the Gum Lab, well, everything we just talked about in terms of team battles and solo BR and just the solo queue experience just got even more worse. See, Ninjala never implemented any restrictions to the Gum Lab when it came to playing the game online. So rather than fighting people with the same base mechanics, you now have to deal with other players who would bring their souped up weapons from the Gum Lab and all their modifiers too. This didn't take long for many to see that this would become a problem. Nowadays, the Battle Pass is nothing but acquiring these research points. But if you go by just the Jala Pass, it was a slow start in the Gum Lab. The research points in the Jala Pass could only get you so far, unless of course you ended up buying research points. This also kind of made the Battle Pass more of a chore to finish than anything else really. Since the outfits were pretty much out the door, the Battle Pass just became consumed by research points and fish bait. One way they could have done a little bit of damage control was at least offer an option to turn off the Gum Lab. At least that way, they could have kept whatever weapon balance they had left before introducing the Gum Lab. Sheesh. That was quite the in-depth analysis. So, that was the last of our community project. I really appreciate everyone who participated in this. This seriously couldn't have been done without your input. Now, as we close the book on this project, here's some last-minute food for thought. I'm sure we are all aware that the Switch 2 is pretty much out. Like, it's out on the market. So with that being said, what do you think will happen to Ninjala? Will it fade into the distance? Sure, it may be available on the Switch 2 at a random chance, kind of to some degree according to my reports here, but there's no way it's going to be able to compete with the gaming lineup they have announced. If so, they really need to do something fast. However, that doesn't seem likely to happen. Now this next one, I'm going to give credit to one of my mods here, Greketo, as they brought up an interesting hypothetical to the table. So, what do you think are the chances that Gung-Ho/Ninjala just randomly drop a Ninjala 2 out of the blue? I mean, hey, just remember, Overwatch did it. Well, that's it for this video. Once again, thanks to everyone who either participated or even watched this video. That's all the time I have. My name is Zermatter here, hosting the Zermatter Experiment, and I will see you all on the next one. Later.